we don't vote, then what's the best option?
So, so voting is interesting because voting is, it's like you have two decisions, and so you jump straight to, you have two choices. You jump straight to a decision, and the decision is to kill off the other alternatives. You're saying this one's right, that one's wrong. Okay, that's a decision. Now, there's many times when you can do both, and you don't have to even vote on it. People assume that we all have to be doing the same thing. That's one giant fallacy in our sense making right there. And they don't go through the proper processes. If I have a electric vehicle plug receptacle and I have 5 different manufacturers that all have different plugs, we wouldn't just vote to see, we have to talk about a lot of factors of interoperability to design, which features are necessary and how they're necessary. So this takes sense making. It takes coaching, panels of experts. We have different processes we've come up with. And then in the end of the day, a vote is very dangerous. And I wouldn't personally be a part of any system that had voting in it as a decision resolution methodology. The reason being, if I set out for a business or into a community and I invest my whole life and time into it, and there's 3 of us, and my 2 partners change their mind about something that like completely strips away all of my resources I built or something major, there's nothing I can do about it. It's just this random vote that people just decide off of however they sense make, and they don't even really sense make together. They just make it on by themselves in their own home. They don't even tell the other person what they're thinking, and they just come up with their decision. And this is my decision, and that's it can create a lot of issues. And I would never want someone to sign up to a community and invest their life savings just to have other people vote on where their money goes or what happens with their life.
Right. I think everybody kind of has to agree on that beforehand, and really agree on what the structure is going to be before they invest that. So to me, we've been asking a lot of these questions, and I think a lot of people are asking these questions. Do you think that the answer lies in making the community itself like have ownership of it? Like, is there a legal way to do that? Like, is it the business? I hate using that word because it doesn't have this heart-based feeling to it. But if everyone's going to make the community like the purpose, then, and they decide to leave it, like, is that the model that we have to go to? Is like, if we're really going to change this new world, we just have to invest into what we believe in within this community. And then if we decide to leave it, we get to leave it. Or, how does that financial model, what's the answer?
I've found the best financial model to be, once again, once we have a different economy we're working within, those problems disappear. So they become obsolete. We just need to step out of the debt mentality. So we're in a mentality that we're going to leave a community and someone's going to be in debt to someone else. So if we can stay not in debt at all times, if we can have real-time reciprocation, then we will not run into that problem ever. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Do you go in the training? Do you kind of go into how that can look like? Because my thing is like, if people, let's say they would, it sounds like to me that they would have to have the money outright to purchase land so that they don't have any debt there. But then they're a part owner of that land. So if they decide to like leave that community, then what kind of options would they have if it's not the ownership model?
Well,
and do you go into that, I guess, with the education?
Yes, that's an ownership model. We definitely cover everything in the education. That's the ownership model. So another option would be, instead of purchasing something and then having to sell it and pay all the taxes and all the crazy stuff that has to do with ownership, you can take that same money and form a loan to the ASPO. So it's a loan. So you're loaning, so people come together, they pool their funds, and they build their community. And if they want to detach, then they would, let's just say that the community has a home equity line of credit or something. It could have someone else come and take their place, let's just say, or there might be some parameters around what that looks like. And in the communities that we form, the agreement field is the captain. So anything you sign up to, versus unclarity in who's making decisions and how they're affecting. Like, this is rampant in the current toxic domination culture that we live in. And there's a whole paper written by the Minnesota Historical Society that I have that talks about all the current issues with the toxic domination culture and gives some lightweight solutions to that. But it's very rampant in our culture. It's not just an economic, thing that we're all a victim of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone feels that. I mean, we want community. We want to feel like these aren't just places that we live or own, that we just that we're getting to contribute to, like, the model of life that we want to be living our passion. And we don't want to be like indebted and like living in this like have to culture, right? Like, we all have a path of area that we're specifically like skilled in or passionate about. And so when we can start to work with this kind of like tribe of hive mentality, right? Everybody has like their own specific role that inspires them to fulfill. And that's kind of how, I mean, that's at least how I envision all of this happening. Glow, did you want to share anything about like what um, what your experience was like with the education and the I know you guys lived at the Cora Vita, is that what it was called, together?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions about about what Josh is working on now, and I'm curious to know like what's new in the new paradigm education series that you're building. And also I just want to, I just had like a thought after you were speaking about voting, and like really what we're doing is voting with our time and attention and awareness, really where we're putting our energy, and who are we giving our time and attention to. And that's like how we create this reality that we're in now. So like once we can shift our awareness into what we want to create, like as a collective, then and dissolve this old fear, war consciousness paradigm that's continuing to perpetuate through the media, that's, I feel like, the only way that we're going to actually be able to expand this on the global collective scale. And I also had just like a question about looking at the whole systems transformation, because you said, nothing will work unless we look at whole systems transformation. And like, I'm just curious, like, how can we look at our resources in a different way? Because I feel that if we're trading within each other, we have to kind of build this network of trading beyond the old paradigm, and like looking at how we can reduce our waste, like through this transformational, like these whole systems transformation. Because when you have an eco village, you're building everything that we need, so we're eliminating all this waste and all these other problems. And then to your point, Kristen, about like what are the jobs, I think it's really like being able to build this freedom culture of like allowing people to do what they want to do versus being in that slavery debt mindset into this new paradigm. But I'm curious to know, what is going on with the new paradigm education series, and can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so level one is the new paradigm education series, and that gets people familiar with what is what is paradigm, basic education, what are new economies, some new structuring, some just tidbits, and a little bit of the vision. enough for them to decide if they're in alignment and enter the system. Level 2 is for those that would like to be co-creators. So this is a new vehicle. This is a new system. So much like being a driver, you need to learn how to drive that. You need to get your driver's license.
I love it.
Economies, you're coming into a whole new way of interacting. You're coming into agreement fields. And so in order to do that, you still got me? Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Okay. In order to do that, you have to have the education. Otherwise, there's really nothing new. If you're, even if you're in a new system, but you don't know how to act, then the energy behind it's going to be very confusing and chaotic, and this is the energy that we see today. Is this confusing, chaotic, nobody knows what's going on type of thing. And this is not what the new paradigm is in any way, form, or fashion. This is all old.
You guys are frozen. Let's see here if anything else comes up.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So we call it in both levels, but it's coherency and competency. So competency is how to use the system, how to actually interact, how to be competent. And coherency is a new level of understanding energetics in how we relate and what kind of culture that we're diving into.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of heart coherence. Do you want to just go into it a little bit and kind of explain it to maybe anyone that's not familiar with it?
Yeah, so coherency in our, I was, the Green Earth City project, I had a guy, Javier Francisco Ortiz, who brought me to the Minister of Sustainability in Costa Rica. I think Gloria knows him. He's an amazing guy. And he's in touch with a lot of the tribal elders, and we were going to create a message to the world of and one of the things he told me, he said, before we do this, I need to make sure with you that every step of the way we're informing each other of what's going on. Basically, giving me my first lesson from the tribes, or what we call the heart. If you're looking at like the eagle and condor prophecy, for example, is to move together as a tribe. And what that brought into my awareness and being, because I listened, was that within this system, that's what coherency is. It's when we're talking to an investor, and he calls each person on our team, and we're all saying the exact same thing. If not, that person's like, I'm out of here, you guys don't know what you're doing, bye. So coherency is we truly connect. We don't say, oh yeah, I'm part of this team and I've just signed up, here's my name. What does that mean? That's not true. That's not real. And this is what happens over and over and over all day long. So coherency is being on the exact same page, and our agreement fields help us do that because they're collective agreement fields. No personal person can come shift them without going through all the process that includes everyone's consent.
Amazing. Yeah, that's how it should be. I mean, we should all just feel like we're on the same page. It's kind of, I think that phrase, kind of like being on the same page, comes from. And I definitely don't think that enough people can figure out how to get there. I know that Heart Math talks a lot about, the Heart Math Institute talks a lot about these things that kind of get people into this heart coherence. Do you guys talk about any of that in your education?
We definitely do. In fact, Empower and Thrive is built to allow people that are anybody to come in and get healing, personal transformation, deprogramming, all the inner work. And I specifically, I have some techniques. I can do some of those classes and courses, but it's not my, I've got enough going on. I do the team building. I move from the solo heroes journey, move us from the solo heroes journey to the collective heroes journey. So I focus on, group organization, as you probably are hearing in what I'm saying. But I wanted to mention, but yes, we have that that anyone can access. And then within our system, we have a badge system. So when you're working in the new paradigm, you always have access to those tools, so that together we can have those tools moving forward, how to self-regulate, how to self-love, how to self-heal. So we're not having to, how to prevent future abusive situations and whatnot, versus just like constant healing, right? Forever.
Yeah.
And so to get into the new paradigm, when you want to join a team, when you actually want to become a co-creator, that team, the agreement field, the master plan that dictates what you'll be doing with who, would also have like the required badges of education, of coherency and competency. So it might say you need to have this healing course and this deprogramming course, at ensuring that we have that level of coherency, and that we have the tools we need to move forward in synergy and help one another, instead of blocking each other. Nature works on the laws of co-creation. Our cells don't, when one of them comes across another, if one's going left, the other one goes right. I mean, it's just a natural law. They don't say, well, I don't believe you. Where are you going? Well, I don't trust you. They just instantly are in this agreement field that helps them communicate in a similar language, in a similar sense-making process. And this is a living system we're building. So we have to move beyond all the any resistive energies, any unsure energies that aren't in their place doing what they're supposed to do. I don't want to say weeded out, because this isn't the old paradigm that, you're banished forever. It's more like, an adjustment period that, you say, oh, wait, hold on. This is, this is not again, this is not what the agreement fields are, dictating. You're causing a block in the system, and you would go through training, take a break, whatever it takes to get that person back into a synergistic, co-creative energy.
Awesome. I see a lot more conversations that we can have. I mean, I think that we could be doing like little lives, on all these different topics, and getting really people excited about like the education, the models that you're talking about. And there's definitely, something that I was seeing as this pandemic started, where, everybody was kind of like downloading the same thing. I mean, we had like a New Earth group. My one friend started a New Earth creators group, and he had the same idea, where he's been traveling to all these intentional communities, and he's like, he's looking for people that either were wanting land or had land. And, he's like seeing this whole network and system where people can move, from place to place, and that it's not just the people that own the community, that the communities are all, like their own entity. And it sounds a lot like all of these models that you created. So I'm really excited to connect you guys. You talked, I watched a video that you did a while back, and you were talking about, I'm not sure, you said you were talking about doing group calls with Earth Nation, and I'm not sure what that was, but I don't know if is that anything that's happened that we can like catch up on in there, or
Yeah, that was a project I was helping with. And once again, if someone's not willing to let go of the keys, if it's set up in the wrong model, it will not be able to become new paradigm. It will stay how it is. So uses voting, and so that project did not come to. It ended up breaking
Mhm.
and not working because of that exact. I mean, like literally, like I literally created a proposal to solve it, and I could have submitted it, but but the leaders didn't want that, so they were very, because it would be their time to transform it into a community project versus a personal project, and they weren't ready for that. So the whole thing ended up cracking within a month or so, and I ended up coming there, which is when we created the Declaration of Agreements, 14 of us together at that meeting. And that whole purpose of that was to create a group agreements, not because nobody wanted to live under the force and rule that the leader had made the agreements for everyone, assuming that, they were in all control of everything. And that's how it worked. And that doesn't work for community.
Yeah, I think that's hard once people see it as like their investment, then it's like, people want to try to keep control of like how it's going to look and stuff. So yeah, I believe there's a lot of like ego dissolving things that we can do. And I know, Glow and Danielle Hansman and I have been working on a intentional meditation group daily to really just start envisioning these new models, because like you said, it kind of just starts with intention and with getting into this cohesive state. So yeah, I think that aspect of it is really important. If you, I'm not sure if I know you were going to touch maybe on what you guys are going to be building out there with the synergy and Glow. I'm not sure if you have any more questions. Do you want to just maybe ask in the chat if you don't, if you're not getting sound right now? Anything else for Josh? But did you maybe just talk about these few action steps that we can really kind of take for people that are really ready to jump in here? And if you want to see what you guys are doing out there too, that would be great.
Well, we're going to create we're renting a synergy hub. We will eventually buy and have multiple centers, and we do have funding that has come in, which which is necessary to start projects in this current paradigm. To get us to this resource-based economy does take an investment, and it takes minimally a loan. Obviously you can't have an equity investor in a city, that owns the city. I've been offered billions of dollars through Dubai for a city, for Green Earth City, and I turned it down because it would have been a slave city. It would have been an owner and a profit model, and I've done that with retreats. And sadly, this isn't a. So we'll be creating a Synergy Hub network program within this Synergy Hub. So we'll have film crews, and we'll have the ability for others to take the roadmap and to come together and form their own Synergy Hubs in the correct way that allows them harmony and to achieve their goals, so that their missions can match their visions, and they can take the correct steps to get there. And we can all do it together, and we can share in that economy and education. So that's happening next. However, it's this isn't, it's not a glorious, as most people would want it to be, like, oh, because it's a contribution economy. When you're offering someone to come in, it takes a certain type of person to come in and want to work in a fair economy. Some people want to come in and have everything for free right away, and to them that's an economy. That's how an economy works. As we know, it doesn't work like that. Like, it's coming from somewhere. Somebody is paying the price. So once our economy is built and we have resources, abundant, and then even the 1%ers will look at it and go, oh, wow, I see why, because that energy is matching. We have a matching energy that's amazing. Plus we have all the resources. The resources are easy. There's resources everywhere. They're all locked up. They're all vacant. they're all not being used. They're all falling apart. And then there's people that are amazing people doing a lot of work, great work in the world that have nowhere to live. It's ridiculous. It really is. So it's not glorious for a lot of people right now. They don't understand it. So for now, it just takes those that are truly understand, what we're doing and what these systems are. And they can go to greenearthvision.org and take the first series of education. The second series, we're revamping we're building the whole system. So we will finish that series to match the new system in a few months' time. But until then, level 2, we've only been passing to people that are really ready to come in right now, have taken level 1 or taking the steps. When people come in and they don't take the steps, time and time again, they bring up these things that are totally irrelevant, incoherent, because they haven't done the education. So it's just a requirement for us to work with anyone that they're educated and that they're understanding of the basics. And so that's why we've done all the work to set that up, so that we don't have to constantly be in these spheres of chaos anymore.
So maybe we can just show everybody where they can go on your site. What's the requirement as far as like, what's the cost like time wise? And is there a financial like contribution or a donation, or what's that look like as far as?
No, I mean, Green Earth Vision is a nonprofit. There is a place to contribute, but it's a free education. And so you can go to greenearthvision.org, click on the find out how. If you want to screen share, you can.
Yeah, I just looked and I actually closed out of it already, so I can open it back up here. Just give me, it'll just take me a second.
Yeah, even that will be revamped. We designed that process for individual co-creators. However, organizations are probably more on the forefront of collaboration than individuals. So we have a lot, so that process should be revamped for organizations as a pretty, we're meeting 2 or 3 times a week, and we're reforming the master plan, which we've already created one multiple times, but this is going to be a, so you go to get involved.
Find out how.
Yeah. And then scroll down a little bit. So if you're in alignment with the videos, then we know that you're in alignment. And where it says become a co-creator, co-create with us. That's where, and I think there's a click here, begin the journey.
Begin the journey. Awesome. And then that's where they can get into the education.
Yeah, and we have, like I said, we have the organizations separated right now, but that's also the portal, to be honest with you, for organizations, since there isn't a clear one. And then they'll go to here and they'll sign up, and then they'll be able to access Empower and Thrive automatically, whether or not they're in alignment with the new paradigm. I mean, if they've gone this far, they're in alignment.
Yeah.
So they'll join us in Full Potential Network. And that's a holding space. So for the next 6 months, year, we can just gather people as a group, and people can share ideas. And then we will move everybody that's there into the correct spots in the new system, including their education levels.
Awesome. It sounds like we should just start having like, monthly meetings. We'll see who's interested and ready to start moving forward, start sharing this out into some of these groups, and get the leaders. Do you call them leaders? What do you call everyone, Josh? What's your name for the people that have been empowered through the education?
I mean, there's a lot of different names. I think we're building a solutionary culture. So change makers, solutionaries, I like to work with, but not everyone's necessarily identifies with that. I don't know. I don't have a name.
I love it. Solutionaries.
Co-creators.
Yeah, co-creators. Awesome. So this network, they can go in here. Is this like a social network yet? Or you guys are mostly just, is this like
Yeah.
something where you have a link and then,
It
okay,
is.
great.
No, it is. It is.
Okay.
So it'll get you off of Facebook and get you into aligned groups with direct conversations that aren't distractions.
Awesome. Sounds amazing. Good. That's been one of our other goals with the New Earth Initiative and the Greater Collective that we've been working on, is trying to funnel everyone off of the platform that starts with an F and into things that are higher vibration and more aligned with tribe, and they can actually we can actually be co-creating together. So everyone can go to Josh's website at the new greenearthvision.org, right, Josh?
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you can be joining us every day. We're doing the intentional meditations with people that are interested at 2:00 Eastern from our Co-Creating the New Earth Facebook page. And those are also on YouTube as well. So we're really excited. Let's stay connected to find out how your Synergy Hub is forming out there in Bali. And how do you want people to connect, or how do you want people to contact you, Josh?
Well, I would say go through the education. I probably don't want to. I talk to people after they are in alignment and understand what we're doing before. So just go through the education. I'm a member of the network there.
Awesome.
So.
I just have just two questions. About the Declaration of Agreements, there's been all of these amazing things coming out now, like the World Water Law with the healthy codes, like the codes for a healthy earth, and like we have the indigenous charter from the White Lions, which now we've been sharing worldwide. And so I'm just wondering if and I've been taking like pieces of these things, also like the New Earth Manifesto from Remayan, from Unify. I'm just wondering if you've like changed the Declaration of Agreements at all, or like where's that at? And then tipping the 1%, like the first time I heard of this concept, where when you showed me this picture that you had drawn, which like now I've been like thinking about for a long time, and like thinking about this like infinite funding and like this distribution of all of our energy and resources, and just like how we can how that would look like, from going like funneling into the center and then going out to everything.
Yeah. So I'll answer the second question, then you can remind me of the first. It is still a closed loop system, and that looks like we have at that end of our legal structuring, we have for now we have two models. One is Green Earth Mission Society, which is a private contract association and a sole corp that is a whole nother level of playing that we're not ready for. Currently, we're dealing with citizens of, let's just say, the United States and other countries, and so they're not ready for working in a sovereign system like that. So we have foreign trusts and church models that would be designed to solely work with a resource gathering committee, circle, and that would locate the resources for different groups, circles within the system, and make sure it would assist in the transition. So money would come in from our funding sources, and it would be distributed to the teams based on their proposed budgets. But it wouldn't just be distributed. It would be like, here's what we need. So we have basic needs program. So that covers all of our living expenses. And then that can get upgraded to like plane tickets and vacations and all kinds of stuff. It can include everything. Okay. So that's resources though. You're not getting paid past a paycheck. You have access to the resource pool, to the collective commons, which supports everyone. And then on top of that, when a group needs resources like bamboo or something, that would be bought for now or harvested if possible. And then we slowly move more and more towards resources and away from until our system needs no more incoming funds. But it can produce funds. Okay, so it can produce things that make money. But that's not the goal. The goal is to produce a whole system. And so anyhow, that's how we there's legal ramifications on this too. So we don't want, as soon as we start paying everyone paychecks, we have to have everyone be a part of a company and an owner and all these legal stuff. And so resource and access is the simplest way that we can move forward on that and keep that close loop. Was there another question there?
Yeah, just that I'm just curious to know if like the Declaration of Agreements has evolved, and maybe you can just share a little bit of like the intention or like the vision for that.
Yeah. So that's a light agreement field that's designed to keep intact this world we're building, including stewardship, just how we redesign agreements in general. We just had our annual meeting update on January 2nd. So we've gone through there was over 40 people that are a part of that decision group. That's not how many showed up, but everyone's invited to show up and yearly for major revamps. So we did that, and we never, hold on, just a little noise. We never created a principles. We just went straight from values to agreements. So values are great in helping us get to where we're going, including in our lifestyle and just in general to help us get to where we're going. It's like a direction. Like we're heading to a life of abundance and prosperity and equality. That's a guidepost. Principles would help define that further. Like our value could be health, and a principle could be eat healthy food. Don't use recycle. Make sure that your gray water goes to a certain space and your black water goes somewhere. Okay, these are all health principles. Actually, although an agreement, principles can be vague, like be loving all the time. Okay, well, that's vague. So if I'm in a community and we don't have agreements, we just have principles, people are going to be arguing over what loving is, and you weren't being loving, you didn't look at me and like, well, hey, I was thinking about something, and it becomes this whole confusing mess, and there's no boundary of where people are a part of things and where they're not. It's just unclear. Now an agreement might look like eat healthy food would be a principle. An agreement might be like no MSG, that's like have an actual list of what is okay, considered healthy and what's not. Otherwise people say, oh, Snickers is healthy and they're eating Snickers. Oh, no, it's not. Yes, it is. And it becomes a constant argument. So we don't have to have agreement on everything. That's not the point. But the point is that we're looking this year at redesigning our principles. We have never made them, but I'm working with Lee Davey, who has done a lot of research on that. And we're going through many models that are out there to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, we know Lee Davey as well. He's connected with a lot of these organizations, and I know trying to, create this sort of like sovereign, New Earth style of community living and governance. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to say about like the governance of things and the reflections on, like, there's so many people saying these things out here about just in the collective consciousness, you know, everything's breaking down, and some people are saying, oh, you know, we need sovereignty, or we need this comes from everybody having their own say, or this comes from people, this comes from us being kind of socialist. Like, how do you weigh in on that whole argument?
Yeah, I think the most important the most important thing is to take control of our own governance. Like, we have a basic principle in all of our systems that the whole system is built on the principle of non-force. We don't want to force other people to do, that's not synergy. Nature doesn't work in force, it works in synergy. And humans work in force. We, you know, try to force things to happen. And maybe I could be fair and say meat-eating animals sometimes might force something to happen beyond, you know, going and, you know, eating, killing to eat. Okay, but in general, nature works in synergy. Okay, and so you can't make a decision for someone. There's some natural laws that people in society have been programmed out of. They don't even understand what these natural laws are. Like, for instance, ownership. Like, think people literally get trained as kids that they own their puppy, or they, you know, it's not real. Like, that whole thing creates a whole slew of problems behind it. There's people that think they own their mate, their wife or their husband. Like, they literally have that mentality. And you can, the fact that you can make a decision for someone else is a fallacy. It's not true. You can't. So we try all the time. We have all these manipulative things and all these systems built so that we can have a decision. We convince people that, oh, there's been a vote, so you have no choice. So we're convinced that we have no choice, that we're a part of this system. The truth is, we never agreed to that. We never agreed, so it's not real. So the first thing is to realize that none of that is real. And to start to take it into our own hands. And then the second thing is, make sure you're looking for a system that involves, you can't make a decision for someone else. If someone's making a decision for you in any capacity, you're in the wrong system.
I think that's brilliant information. I really hope that we can help people transcend that mindset right now. I'm just kind of putting that energy out there, because you know, that I think is the main problem right now, is this sort of polar opposite world, and that people just think, oh, you're voted out, and then they're like angry because they're like, this isn't the system I wanted, and then these other people that are like happy, and they're like, yay, now we won, you know what I mean? And then they give up any contribution, because they think that, like, there's these people that are just setting it into motion the way that they want it to be. And I think that we can't ever, I keep trying to tell everyone, we can't ever assume that. Like, we have to be the ones that are doing the contribution, and that are creating the synergy and creating it in the way that we want to see it. So sorry, I'm dropping my rocks. And so yeah, I think that once we can start to come together in those ways, just within our own communities, then, you know, we'll really start to make things happen, and everybody just feeling like they can make a difference, and that they can create their community the way that they want it to be, instead of seeing everybody as an enemy, and as the opposite. And start, what do, like, I like what you said, it's like, what do we have in common? Like, it doesn't have to be either or, right? It's like, there's other options that are in the middle that, like, can be all of these things existing. And so, like, let's start talking about those. So
Exactly. Yes.
And I think we can do, I'm feeling some exciting conversations in the future. I think we can keep you know, keep that conversation going another time. But I
Totally.
really want to thank you for being here. And if anybody again wants to reach out, they can just go through your website. We're gonna start making synergy happen, right?
Yes.
Amazing.
That's right. Cool.
Glow, I wish we could see you right now. It's always so nice seeing your glowing presence. Thank you again for being here, and we'll start sharing this out. And yeah, have a wonderful night or day. It's your day there, right?
My day.
Awesome.
10:20 a.m. Okay. Thanks, Flo.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kristen.
Have a good day.
All right. Bye now.
See you next time.